If you want to take a deeper dive into Stoicism and learn how to apply the philosophy to your life, check out our most popular course, Stoicism 101, Ancient Philosophy for Your Actual Life. It's a 14-day course that will equip you with the tools to live as vibrant and expansive a life as the Stoics. Along with 14 daily emails, there will be 3 live video sessions with best-selling author Ryan Holiday, one of the world's foremost thinkers and writers on ancient philosophy and its place in everyday life. Learn more here and make sure to register before the live cohort begins on March 22nd. What is happiness? The Greek word for happiness is eudaimonia, evdaimonia. It was the fruit of studying philosophy. They used it interchangeably with the flourishing life and the good life. To the Stoics, the idea of a sage or a perfect philosopher was a direction, not a destination. And it was on the journey in that direction that one experienced eudaimonia. As Donald Robertson writes in Stoicism and the Art of Happiness, the ideal sage is therefore godlike, a mortal, having progressed so far that his wisdom and eudaimonia equal that of Zeus. The aspiring Stoic tries to make progress towards perfect wisdom by regularly contemplating the sage and emulating his thoughts and actions. The Stoics believed the aim of life, the highest good, was to live virtuously. A life of virtue was one with the potential to bring us personal happiness and fulfillment. It's the pursuit of virtue and good character that allows us to experience eudaimonia, happiness, flourishing, the good life. For the Stoic, therefore, happiness is the pursuit of virtue. When we aim to live virtuously, a happy life follows. What causes unhappiness? It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor. Seneca. When I get what I want, I will be happy. This is perhaps the most common of all the human myths. Beyond the hero's journey, beyond Icarus's flight too close to the sun, beyond the various origin stories shared across cultures, all of us tell ourselves some version of this myth to one degree or another. We think when we get older and free of the control of our parents, things will be better. We think that when we get rich or famous or powerful, all our problems will go away. We think when we find the right person, we'll stop being lonely. We think that when we get what we want, we'll be happy. I'll be happy when I get the promotion. I'll be happy when I'm a millionaire, when this diet pays off, when I hit the bestseller list. Conditional happiness is what psychologists call this kind of thinking. Like the horizon, you can walk for miles and miles and never reach it. It's a collective delusion. It is quite impossible, Epictetus said, to unite happiness with a yearning for what we don't have. Happiness has all that it wants, and resembling the well-fed, there shouldn't be hunger or thirst. Locate that yearning for more, better someday, and see it for what it is, the enemy of happiness. Choose it or your happiness. As the Stoics say, the two are not compatible. What did the Stoics say about happiness? Trust me, real joy is a serious thing. Do you think someone can, in the charming expression, blithely dismiss death with an easy disposition? Or swing open the door to poverty, keep pleasures in check, or meditate on the endurance of suffering? The one who is comfortable with turning these thoughts over is truly full of joy, but hardly cheerful. It's exactly such a joy that I would wish for you to possess, for it will never run dry once you've laid claim to its source. Seneca. We throw around words like happy and joy casually. I'm overjoyed at the news. I'm happy you're here. She's a joy to be around. I'd be happy to help. It's a joyous occasion. But none of those examples really touches on true happiness and joy. They are closer to cheer than anything else. Cheerfulness is surface level. To the Stoics, true happiness, true joy, these are deep states of being. It is what we feel inside us and has little to do with smiles or laughing. So when people say that the Stoics are dour or depressive, they're really missing the point. Who cares if someone is bubbly when times are good? What kind of accomplishment is that? What the Stoics were after was the ability to be fully content with life. Can you bravely face what life has in store from one day to the next? Can you bounce back from every kind of adversity without losing a step? Can you be a source of strength and inspiration to others around you? The person that can is truly and deeply happy. They have that kind of happiness that comes from purpose, excellence, and duty. The serious kind, far more serious than a smile or a chipper voice. A good character is the only guarantee of everlasting, carefree happiness. Seneca Eleanor Roosevelt said that the surest way to happiness was to seek it for others. She was referring to doing good, to being of service. It's how she found happiness despite the tragic loss of her father, her painful childhood. It's how she got through her troubled marriage and her husband's affairs. It's how she endured the depression and the wars and so much else. She did good. She made herself useful. She sought relief for others. Seneca said that every person we cross paths with presents us an opportunity for kindness. They also, therefore, present us an opportunity to find happiness. And Marcus Aurelius said, "The fruit of this life is works for the common good." So if you want to feel better today, if you want to find a bright spot in this dark landscape of uncertainty and fear, the solution is simple. Do good. Help others. Be of service. Think less of your problems and try to help others with theirs. You'll be amazed at the happiness this brings, to you and to them. According to the philosopher Blaise Pascal, at the root of most human activity is a desire to escape boredom and self-awareness. We go to elaborate measures, he said, to avoid even a few minutes of quiet. It was true even of the people you think had all the reasons to be happy and content. A king is surrounded by people, Pascal wrote, whose only thought is to divert him and stop him thinking about himself, because king though he is, he becomes unhappy as soon as he thinks about himself. It's an observation that puts Marcus Aurelius in an even more impressive light. Think about it. Marcus Aurelius was surrounded by servants and sycophants, people who wanted favors and people who feared him. He had unlimited wealth but endless responsibility. And what did he do with this? Did he throw himself endlessly into the diversion and distraction these blessings and curses offered? No. Instead, he made sure to carve out time to sit quietly by himself with his journals. He probed his own mind on a regular basis. He thought of himself not egotistically but with an eye towards noticing his own failings. He questioned himself. He questioned the world around him. He refused to be distracted. He refused to give in to temptation. People in his own time probably thought he was a bit dour. They wondered why he did not enjoy all the trappings of wealth and power like his predecessors. What they missed, what's so easy to miss today in our own blessed lives, is that the true path to happiness is not through externals. It's found within. It's found in the stillness, in the quiet, with yourself and a journal. We should take wandering outdoor walks so that the mind might be nourished and refreshed by the open air and deep breathing. Seneca. Seneca wasn't the only one to talk about the importance of walking as a way to relieve the mind and body. Indeed, philosophers have been walking to think and get perspective, in the mornings, in the afternoons, at sunset, for centuries. The famous Greek philosopher Aristotle, for example, conducted his lectures while walking around his school in Athens, as his students followed him. Nietzsche reportedly walked up to 8 hours a day with a notebook and pencil in hand. Walking doesn't just give you the chance to nourish your mind and body. Walking also, it turns out, reduces stress and anxiety. Like any physical activity, walking helps release endorphins that can minimize stress hormones and combat mild depression. According to a report published in the Journal of Neuroscience, researchers found that physical activities like walking reorganizes the brain so that it can better cope with stress and anxiety. A study at New Mexico Highlands University has found that the force from our footsteps can increase the supply of blood to the brain. Researchers at Stanford have found that walkers perform better on tests that measure creative divergent thinking during and after their walks. And a 20-year study found that walking 5 miles a week protects the brains of people suffering from Alzheimer's. When you are stressed or overwhelmed at the office, take a walk in the parking lot. When you feel suffocated at home, take a walk around the neighborhood. Talk a walk first thing in the morning. Take a walk on your lunch break. Take a walk after dinner. See what it does for your happiness. Here's a simple recipe for happiness. It comes from Marcus Aurelius, and the fact that it came from such a busy man with so many obligations and responsibilities should not be forgotten. If you seek tranquility, he said, do less. And then he follows the note to himself with some clarification. Not nothing, less. Do only what's essential. Which brings a double satisfaction, he writes, to do less, better. Follow this advice today and every day. So much of what we think we must do, so much of what we end up doing is not essential. We do it out of habit, we do it out of guilt, we do it out of laziness, or we do it out of greedy ambition. And then we wonder why our performance suffers. We wonder why our heart isn't really in it. Of course it isn't. We know deep down there's no point. But if we could do less inessential stuff, we'd be able to better do what is essential. We'd also get a taste of that tranquility that Marcus was talking about. A double satisfaction. A.J. Jacobs is known for his unique style of immersion journalism. He's lived, literally, according to the Bible. He's went out and met every obscure relative he could find in his family tree. In his book, Thanks 1,000, he went on a quest to personally thank every person who had a hand in making his morning cup of coffee. The farmers, the woman who does pest control for the warehouse where the coffee is stored, the man who designed the lid, the baristas, and on and on. This last journey was the least physically trying, but the most transformative. In our interview with AJ for dailystoic.com, he explained just how wonderful this forced exercise in gratitude has been. One big change was related to the Stoic idea of the self-interested case for virtue. The idea that acting badly makes you feel badly, that whoever does wrong, wrongs himself. But when you act virtuously, you get a little burst of happiness. I remember I called the woman who does pest control for the warehouse where my coffee is stored. And I said, I know this sounds strange, but I want to thank you for keeping the bugs out of my coffee. And she said, that does sound strange, but thank you. You made my day. And that, in turn, made my day. By forcing myself to act in a grateful way, I became less grouchy. Ideally, gratitude should be a two-way street. It should give both parties a little dopamine boost. The word Epictetus uses for gratitude, Eucharistos, means seeing what is actually occurring in each moment. He said, it is easy to praise Providence for anything that may happen if you have two qualities: a complete view of what has actually happened in each instance, and a sense of gratitude. A.J. Jacobs is known for his unique style of immersion journalism. He's lived literally according to the Bible. He's went out and met every obscure relative he could find in his family tree. In his book, Thanks 1,000, he went on a quest to personally thank every person who had a hand in making his morning cup of coffee. The farmers, the woman who does pest control for the warehouse where the coffee is stored, the man who designed the lid, the baristas, and on and on. This last journey was the least physically trying but the most transformative. In our interview with AJ for dailystoic.com, he explained just how wonderful this forced exercise in gratitude has been. One big change was related to the Stoic idea of the self-interested case for virtue. The idea that acting badly makes you feel badly, that whoever does wrong, wrongs himself. But when you act virtuously, you get a little burst of happiness. I remember I called the woman who does pest control for the warehouse where my coffee is stored, and I said, I know this sounds strange, but I want to thank you for keeping the bugs out of my coffee. And she said, that does sound strange, but thank you. You made my day. And that, in turn, made my day. By forcing myself to act in a grateful way, I became less grouchy. Ideally, gratitude should be a two-way street. It should give both parties a little dopamine boost. The word Epictetus uses for gratitude, Eucharistos, means seeing what is actually occurring in each moment. He said, it is easy to praise Providence for anything that may happen if you have two qualities: a complete view of what has actually happened in each instance and a sense of gratitude. Part of what made AJ's journey so meaningful to him and to everyone else involved is that they were really seeing each other for the first time. He was really looking, and when he saw, he said thanks. It's a good model for us to try in our lives. Take some time today to stop, take a step back, and get a complete view. Like that, there are over 1,000 people involved in making your morning cup of coffee possible. There's a lot we take for granted. In every moment, there are limitless opportunities to say thanks. Take them. Just as it would not be afoot, don't you realize that in isolation you would not be a human being? Because what is a human being? Part of a community. Epictetus. The universe made rational creatures for the sake of each other, Marcus Aurelius wrote, with an eye toward mutual benefit based on true value and never for harm. In another spot he wrote, human beings have been made for the sake of one another. Teach them or endure them. And another still, meditate often on the interconnectedness and mutual interdependence of all things in the universe. For in a sense, all things are mutually woven together and therefore have an affinity for each other. For one thing follows after another according to their tension of movement, their sympathetic stirrings, and the unity of all substance. Although Stoicism is a philosophy that stresses independence and strength, moral rectitude and inner life, it's essential that we don't mistake this as a justification for isolation or loneliness. We are not islands. We are social animals. We need community. We need friends. We need connection. Whether you're introverted or extroverted, in 5 different studies, researchers had introverted participants act extroverted. They found a severe overestimation of the negative effects and self-consciousness associated with extroverted behavior, as well as a severe underestimation of the boost in mood and happiness following an extroverted interaction. An interesting study published in the Journal of Experimental Psychology by a team of behavioral psychologists confirmed their hypothesis that striking up a conversation with a stranger has positive effects on the mood and well-being of the initiator. What they didn't expect to find was that the person with whom the conversation was initiated was equally positively impacted. This mistaken preference for solitude stems partly from underestimating others' interest in connecting, which in turn keeps people from learning the actual consequences of social interaction. The pleasure of connection seems contagious, the researchers concluded. Well, of course, we're social beings. Our nature craves connection. The lack of connection is a poison to our happiness and well-being, just like cigarettes or alcohol. It poisons our minds. It poisons our relationships. It poisons our society. Step out of your bubble and engage, bond, connect. You will emerge in a great mood, guaranteed. He who laughs has joy. The very soul must be happy and confident, lifted above every circumstance. Seneca. Do you know that expression, dying of laughter? You know, like, I laughed so hard I almost died, and, oh man, I'm dying, that's too funny. Did you know that literally happened to one of the Stoics? It's true. Diogenes Laertius recorded the story that Chrysippus, one of history's most important Stoic thinkers, who succeeded his teacher Cleanthes, who had succeeded Zeno, as head of the Stoic school in Athens around 230 BC, died at the age of 73 during the 143rd Olympiad when he saw a donkey eating figs and yelled, "Now give the ass a drink of pure wine to wash down the figs," Diogenes continues. And thereupon he laughed so heartily that he died. What a way to go. Despite their reputation as being serious and emotionless, the Stoics had a good sense of humor. Whenever I wish to enjoy the quips of a clown, Seneca wrote, I am not compelled to hunt far, I can laugh at myself. The Stoics didn't have the science, but they had the intuition to that. What they say about laughter is true. It is indeed the best and cheapest medicine. It may be obvious that laughter reduces stress, but the reason? Laughter and humor trigger the brain's emotional and reward centers through the release of endorphins. That feeling of euphoria you get after a great long run, that's from the release of endorphins. The brain's chemical response is exactly the same when you have a good laugh. Stressful experiences in everyday life, even from the simplest, most mundane situations like car troubles, suppress the immune system, which increases the risk of infectious illness and heart disease. A good laugh can help prevent stress from accumulating and thus affecting the immune system, protecting you from disease. Dial up one of your favorite funny movies that you haven't watched in a while, or binge watch that series people have been telling you about, or watch that comedy special on Netflix. Or search YouTube for classic bits from some of the great stand-up comics like Jerry Seinfeld, Steve Martin, Sarah Silverman, Dave Chappelle, or Robin Williams. Make time for laughter, today and every day. Research published in Science magazine by the neuroscientists Stephanie Brasson and her colleagues backs up how healing it can be to reveal a tiny worry or anxiety. Their study, titled "Don't Look Back in Anger: Responsiveness to Missed Chances in Successful and Non-Successful Aging," shows that minimizing regrets as we age creates greater contentment and happiness. The research also shows that holding on to regrets causes us to take more aggressive and risky actions in the future. So the healthiest and happiest people are aware of regrets they harbor and then choose to let them go. You'll notice that all of the strategies above don't require much to access. We think we need a lot to be happy. We need piles of money, we need power, we need fame, we must get that person to marry us, we must. There are so many things we need, or so we think. Of course, deep down, we know that's not true. We've seen other people get these things and can tell it's no panacea. We have tasted these things ourselves. And what did we find? Oops, it wasn't all it was cracked up to be. Very little is needed to make a happy life, Marcus Aurelius wrote. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Seneca similarly suggested that the problem is not how little we have, but that we're constantly wanting more. What you must realize today is that you already have everything you need to be happy. You are already rich. You already have an incredible power. The power to determine your own needs and desires. The ability to say enough. That magical word, enough. The happy life will never be determined by external things. No amount is enough for one who has too little, the Stoic said. Meanwhile, the person who can be grateful, who can direct their thoughts properly towards what is good in this life, will be happy in any and every situation. That's all you need for the happy life. Seize it, if that's what you want. Everyone gets one life. Yours is almost used up, and instead of treating yourself with respect, you have entrusted your own happiness to the souls of others. Marcus Aurelius. Other people's wills are as independent of mine as their breath and bodies. We may exist for the sake of one another, but our will rules its own domain. Otherwise, the harm they do would cause harm to me, which is not what God intended, for my happiness to rest with someone else. Marcus Aurelius. A cornerstone of Stoicism is the control test, as found in the Enquiry, and during the first waves of the pandemic, the control test was invaluable for me. I still use it every day to make an assessment on what I should and shouldn't worry about, and to see where I can take action and best direct my energy. Epictetus, whose handbook was published in C-125 wrote, "Within our power are opinion, motivation, desire, aversion, and, in a word, whatever is of our own doing. Not within our power are our body, our property, reputation, office, and, in a word, whatever is not of our own doing." Essentially, our field of control consists of our own actions and reactions, our desires, our character, and how we treat others. The rest, including our bodies, the actions of others, our reputation and our fortunes, personal and financial, are out of our control. Snap lockdown means you can't go to work? Out of your control, but you can work on how you deal with it. Virus circulating in the community when there's no vaccine? Out of your control, but your actions can help protect yourself and others. Stressed out friend gets too drunk and takes her loneliness out on you? What she does is out of your control, but your reaction? For every problem, there is a Stoic solution, and the control test is often the most elegant and simple way of finding our way to it. We make judgments quickly, often without adequate information, and sometimes when no judgment is needed at all. So much of what we label good or bad is actually neutral, but our judgments are powerful and dictate to a large extent how we respond. I may apply for a rental that I really want and miss out, so I apply the judgment of bad to this. But is it still bad if, the following week, a better or cheaper place comes on the market? If we treat most events in a neutral way, we are less likely to get upset by things that happen. Worrying about upsetting others is generally seen as a positive trait, but it can also lead to people-pleasing or excessively fretting. One of the most important things for a Stoic is recognizing that your character is one of the only things you can control. The 4 Stoic virtues are wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. If you are acting with them, then you are exercising a core component of life that is within your control. But how others react is outside your control. You can try to persuade or influence them, but ultimately their actions and reactions are up to them. Worrying about what other people think or how they react is a waste of time. Just worry about how you've behaved and your own character. From Epictetus: when a man drinks water or does anything for the sake of practice and discipline, whenever there is an opportunity he tells it to all, "I drink water." Is it for this that you drink water for the purpose of drinking water? Man, if it is good for you to drink, drink. But if not, you are acting ridiculously. Brigid Delaney's book Reasons Not to Worry is out now. Bayou image in full screen. Brigid Delaney's book Reasons Not to Worry is out now. Photograph Allen and Unwin. A Stoic would treat alcohol, particularly expensive wine, with indifference. She would be aware that addiction is dangerous because it impairs reason. She would also be aware that banging on about abstaining is boring. So much of giving in our society is unconsciously transactional. Say I have you over for a nice dinner. In some corner of my mind, I might expect you to return the favor. But if I apply the control test, I'll remember I have no power over whether someone acts how I want them to act. It's better to give freely without conditions or caveats, and without expecting anything in return. That way I won't be disappointed if a favor is never repaid. We should give as we would receive, cheerfully, quickly, and without hesitation, for there is no grace in a benefit that sticks to the fingers, wrote Seneca. The more Stoicism I read, the more I realized that the fear of missing out has always been around, and that the Stoics, of course, had ways to deal with it. If you weren't invited to something, they saw it as a test of character to not be bitter or unhappy. Epictetus advised, "If these things are good, you ought to be glad he has gotten them, and if they are evil, don't be grieved that you have not got them." Then they pointed out the trade-off. Say you didn't get tickets to a sold-out festival. Think about what you have gained instead. Perhaps you will have another experience that weekend. Certainly you'll have an extra $200 to play with. Contrary to the modern usage of the word Stoic, the original Stoics did not have a stiff upper lip, nor were they repressed. Instead, they sought to maximize joy and minimize suffering, and they strived to be as relaxed as possible. In this tranquil state, it was harder to ignite anger, get upset, or be anxious about things they couldn't control. "Never let the future disturb you," wrote Aurelius. "You will meet it, if you have to, with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present." There is a good reason why people choose not to support The Guardian. Not everyone can afford to pay for the news right now. That's why we choose to keep our journalism open for everyone to read. If this is you, please continue to read for free. But if you can, then here are 3 good reasons to make the choice to support us today. 1. Our quality. Investigative journalism is a scrutinizing force at a time when the rich and powerful are getting away with more and more. 2. We are independent and have no billionaire owner controlling what we do, so your money directly powers our reporting. 3. It doesn't cost much and takes less time than it took to read this message. 1. Focus on what you can control. Stoicism teaches that we should focus on things within our control and accept what we cannot change. In 2024, prioritize your energy on actions and decisions that you can influence, rather than getting bogged down by external factors. 2. Develop resilience through adversity. View challenges as opportunities for growth. Embrace difficulties with a mindset that adversity can make you stronger. In 2024, face setbacks with courage and resilience, using them as stepping stones for personal development. 3. Practice mindfulness. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of living in the present moment. Be mindful of your thoughts and actions, avoiding unnecessary anxiety about the future or regret about the past. Cultivate a sense of awareness and presence in 2024. 4. Cultivate gratitude. Appreciate what you have, rather than longing for what you lack. Practicing gratitude can bring contentment and perspective. In 2024, regularly reflect on the positive aspects of your life to foster a sense of appreciation. 5. Embrace discomfort. Stoics believe that enduring discomfort and challenges leads to personal growth. Instead of seeking constant comfort, willingly embrace discomfort in pursuit of your goals. In 2024, step out of your comfort zone to expand your capabilities. 6. Live in accordance with virtue. Align your actions with virtue and moral principles. Strive to be a good person and make decisions based on what is right, rather than what is expedient. In 2024, prioritize integrity and ethical behavior in your personal and professional life. 7. Accept the impermanence of life. Stoicism teaches the transitory nature of life. Embrace change and understand that everything is subject to decay. In 2024, practice detachment from material possessions and appreciate the fleeting nature of experiences. 8. Practice self-discipline. Develop self-control and discipline in your actions. Stoicism encourages restraint in desires and the pursuit of moderation. In 2024, cultivate habits that contribute to your long-term well-being and success. 9. Foster strong interpersonal relationships. Value your relationships with others and treat people with kindness and empathy. Stoicism emphasizes the importance of social connections for a fulfilling life. In 2024, invest time and effort in building and maintaining meaningful relationships. 10. Remember your mortality. Contemplate the brevity of life to gain perspective on what truly matters.